Scott, welcome to the podcast.
Hey, it's so great to be here. Excited to talk to you.
Great. You've served in the Canadian Army for nearly 20 years, and now you're a speaker and coach for your company, Moving Forward Leadership. Would you give us an overview of your life and share some of the different hats you wear so we can get to know you?
That's a full-ended question. Whew, let's go in easy, shall we? Uh, Overview my life. So, yeah, let's keep this interesting. I decided I was going to join the Army when I was 14, uh, and applied to the Royal Military College of Canada, which is like your guys' equivalent to West Point, Annapolis Valley, etc. Graduated from there in 2006. Got trained up as a logistics transportation officer. So my job was to move stuff from point A to point B, whether that be in Canada or outside of Canada. And I did that, and I was doing that in 2009. I deployed to Canada or Afghanistan for 7 months, where I was embedded into an Afghan National Army unit as a mentor trainer with them, a part of the operational mentoring and liaison team. Returned from Canada in 2010, and then got posted to our training, one of our training centers, one of our schools where I trained young officers how to be transportation officers, and was successfully promoted and posted here to Kingston, Ontario, where I ended up serving as a company commander, a squadron commander, and commanded a squadron of 200 folks, 200 members in the forces.
Wow.
At that time, my wife was away for school. I said, "Hey, I need to do something in the evenings to keep myself from basically from getting in trouble." Young father at the time. Our oldest was 1. My wife was busy because she got picked up for medical school, and she was in her residency program at that time. So her hours were bonkers. She was away almost all the time, and I was home alone, basically, not babysitting, but being a parent to a 1-year-old. And I was like, I got to do something. I do something productive. And moving forward leadership started to be born out of that time. So of all the hats I wear, I still serve. So I'm still a member of the Canadian Forces, 19 years and counting, almost 20 years now, and going strong. I am a father of now 2 boys, husband still, luckily for me, and then and as well a podcaster, a leadership coach. So yeah, there's a number on there.
It seems like a theme in your life is leadership, and you wrote a book titled The 9 Foundations of Leadership. What makes an effective leader?
There's so many different things uh, that make an effective leader, and since I wrote that book, I've since not pivoted, but adjusted my thinking even further. The 9 Foundations of Leadership is a great start to be an effective leader. It is basically the foundations of what you need to do and how you need to think and how you need to act to be a leader. However, now more so, I focus on what I refer to as the 3 domains of leadership and being an effective leader. And the first one is leading yourself. So how do you take care of yourself as a leader? How do you achieve peak performance as an individual? Uh, Studies show time and time again that physical fitness, for example, getting out there, working out, having a good workout routine reduces stress. And we know that stress uh, inhibits decision-making ability. And if you listen to my podcast, I talk about the components of leadership, and one of them being decision-making, and that you need to make decisions as a leader. So if you're stressed out and then you show up to work and there's a stressful situation ongoing and you need to make a decision, you're going to have a difficult time. Now, if you're someone who has a disciplined workout routine, you're going to reduce that stress. It's going to enable you to think clearer and make a better decision. So that's leading yourself, and it's more about just physical fitness. It's also about mental resiliency, how you plan and prepare your day, and everything else in between. So achieving peak performance.
That's
Leading your
awesome.
team. Leading your team is all about Jane, Joe, Billy, Sally, the individuals within your organization, how you go out, how you find them, how you hire them, how you bring them into your organization, how you take care of them while they're in your organization, how you empower them, how you develop them, and ultimately how you say goodbye to them at the end of the day. It's all about building those teams up. Why? So that you can have high performing teams. High performing teams are what's going to get you through these crises, so that your decisions that you have to make are actually a little bit easier because they've done so much to help you before you get to that point of where you have to go, okay, here's option A and option B. Which one is the best one? So empowering them, developing them, getting them to gel, getting them to bond as like a cohesive unit, operate, and then bring them up to the point where they're high performing. That's what leading your team is all about. And then finally, leading your organization is that institutional bit, Google, Apple, RBC Bank, whatever have you, right? US Airways, et cetera, et cetera. These are institutions, they're organizations. So how do you lead that organization from a culture standpoint? How do you lead it from an efficiency standpoint? How do you lead it from an effectiveness standpoint? How do you take care of its resources, manage its resources, bring new things in, take no old things out? How do you build it? How do you scale it? All these other things. Because without the institution, there is no team, because there's nothing for someone to work in. Without no team, there is no leader. So that's kind of now, since I've written that book, I've, not to say that the book isn't valid. The book is absolutely valid. It's all about how it's more along the lines of those competencies and personality thing that you need to have as a leader. But now I've even gone broader and more encompassing.
What is your approach to goal setting? And tell us about your Power Goals program.
That's a great question. And Power Goals is I could do a full podcast episode just on Power Goals. But goal setting for me, Power Goals program is the individual based goal setting program. And it goes back to people ask me like, Scott, why did you build a goal setting program? You're a leadership coach. Well, it goes back to what I just finished talking about. And that goal setting is leading yourself. Leaders we're high operating folks. We are A types. We like achievement. We like to go and hit targets and take them out and move on to the next thing. Sometimes we get overwhelmed, and sometimes we just kind of get into like a loop, with computer programming, where your computer goes, crashes and stuff, gets stuck, doesn't work. You're stuck in this loop cycle. And I actually found myself in one of those, and I was like, how do I get out of it? And that's how Power Goals ended up coming out, because I've reflected back on all of the things that I've achieved in my life, and I'm like, holy cow, I've actually done a lot. I have a master's, which I did on my own time. I've been a commander of 200 folks. I've done this. I've done that. I've achieved all these things. How did I do it? And I started reflecting and started thinking about it. I'm like, okay, well, first off, I prepared. I wanted to look at and see what mattered to me. What did I want to achieve? How did those line up with my values? So that's the P within Power Goals. And I'm like, okay, there's this, that, and the other thing that I want to achieve. Obviously, I don't know how to achieve it, because if I did, I would already have it achieved by now, or I'd be working towards achieving it. So I got to go and find how I'm going to achieve these things. So I observe. I go out and find people who have either done it or coaching in it, right? And start looking at what do they do? What are their habits and routines? How do they interact with people? How do they go about their business, etc., depending on what the goal is. Sometimes that's hiring a coach. Other times that's reading a book. Sometimes it's just talking to your cousin. But you're observing, you're seeing what they do. And from there, you're going to develop some action items that you're going to take. You're going to say, okay, I want to get more fit. I need to work out 3 to 5 times a week. I need to eat healthy. I need to do this. I need to do that. If I want to develop my business, I need to engage on social media. So I need to do that 10 to 15 minutes per day. I need to write a blog post per week. I need to release a podcast episode per week, et cetera, et cetera. And you start building these lists of action items. The W is weekly planning. So when am I actually going to do this stuff? Because that's kind of where people get hung up. They have all these great ideas and stuff, but they actually don't make a plan. So you sit down, you look at your calendar, and you say, okay, when am I going to do these things? And you start plotting it into your calendar. And one of the things you have to be cognizant of is, where are your anchor points? Where are the things that can't move? Things that have deadlines, things that, you cannot shift, that is going to either take time away from you, or that you have to plan around to ensure that you get it done by this time. So you go ahead and you do your weekly planning. And one thing that a lot of people make mistakes with is they fill their calendar. They fill it as much as possible. And it's human nature. Give a person a house and they'll put as much furniture as they can find because it's just our nature to fill things.
Right.
It's the same thing with our calendar. So that's one mistake, because you need to leave space in case things happen, because things will happen. Your kid will wake up at 3 o'clock in the morning sick, and you'll be up until 4:30 getting them cleaned up and changing their bed sheets and all this stuff. Do you think you want to get up at 5 a.m. for a workout? Probably not, right? So, but what do? Do you say, oh, well, not going to happen today, so I'm not going to hit my goal of 4 workouts this week? No, you shift it. You go, well, Fridays are normally my off days. Well, congratulations. Today was my off day, and Friday I'm going to go and crush the workout at the gym. And that enables you your flexibility to deal with life. Because a lot of people, what happens is when they're doing these things, these hiccups come up, and then they get demotivated. Like, it's just not worth the effort because I'm failing here. I'm trying, but you know what? This pops up and that pops up. I'm not doing what I'm supposed to do. So why even bother? It's because they're not allowing themselves the flexibility to shift things around as priorities change. So that's W. E is all execution. Just go do what you said you're going to do. Right? Now, sounds easy, but this is where a lot of people, get hiccup. The biggest thing with E is when you fail is not to beat yourself up. We all fail. And back to that rejigging of your schedule. So continuously looking at and having that free time to enable you to have the flexibility while you're executing, doing the things that you set up to do to achieve your goals, and then allowing you to shift things. And finally, R is reflection. Every week, I look at what I did in the past week, and I usually line this up with my weekly planning. I go, okay, how did last week go? Well, I got all these things done. I failed here, here, and here. Okay, so why did I fail in those spots? Well, I forgot that on weeknights, my wife is out, and therefore I can't leave the house to do that. All right, fine. So those weeknights, I needed to put in my calendar that the wife is away, so I can't leave because I have to take care of my boys. I failed here because I forgot to take in consideration. So you start looking at all these other external factors as well, reflection. But as well, you can look at and go, okay, I did 2 workouts this week. I have space for 4. Should I up that? Well, let's try 3. And you adjust. The reflection enables you that time to adjust how you're going about achieving your goals. And that process just continues. It just keeps looping through until you basically knock out what you're going after.
Wow, that's really helpful. You also have an excellent podcast, and I was listening to a few of them, and I was struck by the one you had with the Navy SEAL Mark Devine. And he talked about how most people have no idea how much they can really achieve. Do you agree with that?
I do. Mark was an amazing guest. I think he's still number 1 on my downloads, and hence the reason why I'm working on bringing him back. Actually, he's coming back in about a week from now. Awesome guest, and it's true. We often don't go outside our comfort zones. People like to be warm. They like to be cushy. They like to feel, oh, it's nice, it's cozy here, but they actually don't know what they can achieve if they don't go outside their comfort zone. So what you can achieve, it basically, as you get comfortable, you kind of shrink it. And it's kind of like a blanket that comes on you, and you get cozy, you get warm, but you don't realize that if you take the blanket off, you're still gonna be just nice and warm and cozy. You can just move outside. So again, people like to be cozy. So pushing up against their barriers, pushing up against their self-limiting beliefs gets uncomfortable. And top performers like Mark, who is a former Navy SEAL commander, they are trained to go beyond that, right? They're trained to go push outside their limits because lives are on the line. Now, people often in business go, well, that's great for you military folks, but we're in business and it's not like that with us. Well, actually, I call BS. And here's the reason why. I did a presentation to a business class once, and I was talking about this. And I said, in military, ultimately, we're there to save lives. But it's the same for business, because businesses are there to exist, to make profits, sell goods and services to make profits. They turn around those revenues and they pay their people. The people take the money, put a house over their head, put food on their table, provide transportation, provide an education, provide a life for their loved ones, et cetera, et cetera. If those things didn't exist, people wouldn't survive. So it's up to you as a leader, regardless if you're a business, regardless if you're a nonprofit, regardless if you're, in military, whatever. It is up to you to go ahead and push those boundaries to see what actually is capable of achieving and going and striving for. And that's a part of, again, what we talked about earlier with the power goals, is saying, okay, am I able to achieve this? Let's find out. Let's make a plan. Let's figure out how to achieve it. Let's go for it. And a lot of people, when they hit those hiccups along the way, that's where they go, it's not worth it, and give it up. So that's what Mark was talking about at that point in that podcast episode. Great guest. Totally recommend anybody looking him up because he's phenomenal.
What's a hobby that you enjoy that most people may be surprised about?
That's an interesting question. Never had that one before. So a lot of people would be surprised about me being a leadership person, etc. I'm actually a huge car guy, huge racing fan. So for me, it's all about rally racing, and I love rally. I love how it's essentially the best racing out there because it's the most tactical. The drivers have to be able to drive in all kinds of conditions. They even have to learn how to fix their cars if something goes wrong and everything in between. So a lot of people would be surprised with that. I do have my own pretty rare sports car, and I spend my weekends, taking that out and going to meets and all these things, watching races when they're on and stuff like that. So that's one hobby of mine. I don't have a whole lot of hobbies because I'm basically high productivity. If I'm not working at work, I'm home with my kids. If I'm not with my kids and my wife, I'm doing something for moving forward leadership. So my spare time is a limit.
Right. Where can people go to find out more information about you and your company?
I have to go to movingforwardleadership.com. That's basically my headquarters. So everything is there, from the podcast show notes to all the social links right at the bottom. You can check out episodes like Mark Devine one. That's one of my featured episodes just because it's so good. Right there on the homepage. And if they want to subscribe to the show, it's simple. Just go to movingforwardleadership.com/subscribe.
Well, Scott, this has been awesome. You've given us a whole list of things to think about. So thank you for being on the podcast. I've got one final question. What's one powerful action step that our listeners can take to help them live a more joyful, productive, and fulfilling life?
For that, I would say it's analyzing how you use your time and where is the quote unquote fat. So the way I go about my business is that, and I don't mean business as in coaching business, but life business, is that I front load everything that needs to get done. So this morning we're recording this at 9:20. I've already put out 2 workouts. I've read my book that I'm currently reading. I've already done a couple emails for my business. I've already done some social media posts for my business. I've already answered a couple work emails. I've done all this stuff up ahead because that's stuff that needs to get done. And the reason for that is tonight, when the kids are in bed, the wife is winding down, etc., I now have the flexibility to do whatever the heck I want without feeling guilty. Because the things that are most important are already done. And I analyze my schedule. I take away the fat so that I front load all this stuff in the mornings. And if I want to aimlessly scroll through Facebook for 45 minutes, I can do that without any repercussions. If I want to sit and play my WRC5 game on my PlayStation, I can do that because I've already done these things. If I want to watch the hockey game and see the Habs beat the Bruins, I can do that. Because I've taken the time to look at do the analysis of my calendar, remove the fat, do the things that prioritize it, do the things that are most important. And in the end, that gives me the ability to do the other stuff.
That's awesome. Scott, thanks a lot for coming on to the podcast. This was great. It's great to have you here. at the All the Hats We Wear podcast. This show will teach you the time management skills you need to be joyful, productive, and fulfilled in all areas of life. I'm your host, life coach and productivity expert, Scott Snow. This is episode 38. We have a special guest today. Scott McCarthy is with us. He's been in the Canadian Army for over 20 years. Now he has his own business called Moving Forward Leadership, and he provides coaching around leadership. You're meant to do great things. If you want to be an innovator and visionary, you have to manage your busy life like one. The All the Hats We Wear planner is the planner for the future. I want to give you a free month of the planner to try out for yourself. Nothing will slip through the cracks anymore. When you use the All the Hats We Wear planner, you'll have everything you need at your fingertips. All of your goals, a vision statement, a list of daily habits, and a checklist to track your progress. Key information for the small and large projects on your plate. Daily sheets to clarify your top outcomes for each day. A week at a glance section to plan for the coming weeks, and much more. The All the Hats We Wear planner will be your roadmap to a more joyful, productive, and fulfilling life. To claim your free month so you can see for yourself how it will streamline your busy life, visit allthehatswewear.com.